Hello everybody, welcome to Flight Sim World by Dovetail Games. My name is jfavignano, and today we're going to look at this for the very first time. This is the newest flight simulator out there that is available on Steam as early access. And basically this is based on the ESP platform, FSX, Prepared, so on and so forth. It's the same platform. We're going to go in here and just see what it's all about and if it's worth, you know, what they're asking for, which is $25 right now. I don't know if that's going to increase after it comes out of early access. So if you're interested in this and you want to get in the early access, you know, program, then, you know, feel free to do so. Being early access, you know, you can give constructive criticism and feedback back to Dovetail to make the sim better in the long run. With that said, I was not paid by Dovetail Games. I was not given a code, nothing like that. I paid for it myself so I could give you guys a proper review. As you know, I'm an X-Plane fan. I'm not a huge fan of FSX, and it doesn't mean that I hate anything to do with FSX, because I used to use it all the time. You know, I used Microsoft Flight Simulators for absolute years and enjoyed them. And I love aviation. I love flight sim in general. It doesn't mean it has to be A versus B versus C versus E, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. With that being said, let's get started. Let's go into the options now. I am running a GTX 1080 by MSI, and it's the default one. It's not default, but it's just a regular 1080. It's not a TI or anything crazy like that. 8 gigabytes of onboard with that, and I am running an i7 5930K i7 at 3.8 gigahertz. Not 4. I know if we hit 4, that magical 4, if I was to overclock, we could probably get better performance out of this. But that being said, that's what I'm running there with 32 gigabytes of RAM. It's on the X99 chipset. With that said, here's my display options. I'm running it on high. I've run it on ultra, and it'll be a slideshow on you. It really will. I turned off aircraft labels. It has that by default. Full screen, we're going to run it in full screen. I have done some tests, and I see no difference for my setup between full screen and windowed mode. So windowed mode for me, it doesn't make a lick of a difference, so we're just going to go with full screen on that, so it's easier for the recording. On top of that, you see here's all this stuff. Anti-aliasing's on. I think that it's going to be like it was in FSX, where you're going to have anti-aliasing off in the sim, and then have your NVIDIA inspector or, you know, control panel take care of the anti-aliasing. I have not done that yet. I'm using the in-game anti-aliasing, but let me let you know right now, you're going to see some jaggies. Outside of that, this is the big killer, just like it was in FSX. Traffic being way up there is going to eat your frame rates. Bringing that down to low, you'll be good to go. I know that rhymed, but this is early access, and we're gonna drop that down. So with that said, audio, turn this off right here. You see the UI? If I turn this on, you're gonna get these horrible clicks. Like here's the music. It makes these terrible clicking noises and whatnot. Now the music, you cannot turn it off 100%, which is kind of sucky, because I don't know if that song is copyright or whatever, so I'm not blaring it. I'm not, you know, jamming out to it today, but I turned it all the way down to 0, and yet you can still hear it in the background. Voice and all this stuff, I turned it down to 3. It's an extremely loud sim. Even in Windows, it's down to 32 for the volume level for that. Select music track. Well, I wish we had an option, but we only get one song as of right now. And this is what I'm using for my primary audio device and so on and so forth. Controls. This is important. If you're used to FSX and the like, you're going to know what all this is. By default, you're going to get these null zones. And let me tell you right now, with the I'm using the Yoko Yoke by Virtual Fly here on the null zones. I brought that to 0, and it still sometimes feels like I'm flying a 747, even though I'm flying a Diamond Katana. And sensitivity could probably be bumped up a little bit on those. So I'm going to bring these up to about 6.32 each. And we're going to go with that because of what I was just doing. Outside of that, when you click on your yoke or whatever you're doing, this drop down likes to hide your stuff. And you're like, I don't know what to do. Just use your mouse scroll and you can find everything else you have here as it sees fit. Now, with the rudder pedals, I had the same exact problem I had back in the day with FSX. I had to go to the axes. And then here on the brake left axis and brake right axis, you're going to have to invert them. Otherwise, it will just make it seem like you have the brakes on all times. I don't know why that is. I had the exact same problem in FSX Steam Edition, and pretty much since its infancy. So that has returned. So this is pretty much the same old screen you're used to. It's a little more I don't know. It's a little complicated. So like the brake left axis, if you just, you know, hit change assignment, you can go in there like that, but just double click. It's a lot quicker. One thing I do like is that they added a search key now. You know, you can go to the buttons and keys and just like, hey, what I want to look up for trim. There's my trim buttons. I have them right there in front of me. Keep in mind, by default, sometimes when you go in here and set your keyboard controls up for the elevator trim up and down, the repeats will reset themselves to nothing. So you're going to have to go in there and make the repeats on fast or, you know, slow or whatever you want it to be. So you don't have to sit there and just watch the elevator trim go extremely slow and drive you crazy when you need it. So outside of that, nothing else really to go over in the controls. I have everything all set to go here. Realism, I've got crashes on, aircraft collisions. It does what it's always done with the ESP model. You crash into something, it resets the sim. It doesn't do anything cool. There's no explosions. There's no wings falling off or anything like that. GFX are on. Random flight failures, I have that turned off. Flight models, I have everything max here to the right, so it's as realistic as it can possibly get within this platform. Engines, auto mixture is off. Unlimited fuel is off. Stress damages engine is on. Profile, you can create a profile or whatever. I'm using my own, whatever the Dovetail login is I use on my train sim world. So that's what I'm using. General, login ATC menu, all this stuff. Use pilot voice. This is very FSX stuff. Pilot voice, pilot 0 male, pilot 1 male. Let's go to pilot 1. Unit of measurement, I'm using US systems. Now, one thing I really wish we could do is change the ATC voice, but you can't. There's like a certain, it almost sounds like a Scottish lady or something like that, I've heard. Aircraft labels by default are on. Remember to turn those off if you don't want to see all that crap. Anywho, let's go back to the main menu. I don't know what that was about, but that was weird. Also, I am running in full screen mode, so the lovely thing has returned where your second monitor is useless. It's a black screen. I'm sure you could drag, you know, things over to it and stuff like you did in FSX, but outside of that, I have no need to do that. Let's go into free flight mode and check this thing out. Aircraft selection screen. Here we are greeted with the aircraft selection screen. You have a lot of nice little, looks like some renders here. Those are not like actual in-game shots. I don't believe those are just renders. But you got the Diamond Star, the Twin Star by Diamond. You've got the Super Cub, fantastic airplane. You got the Cherokee 180, the Seneca 5, or V, the Malibu Mirage, and the RV-7A. Really cool to see this airplane. I love RVs. I think it's really cool they included this one. You can do a little bit of aerobatics with it. But outside of that, it is a GA sim. It is not a commercial airliner sim, although the world is modeled, you know. You don't have any commercial airliners. That doesn't mean that they won't bring that later down the road. But as of right now, no. People have already been doing some, you know, hacks or whatever you call it. It's not hacks, but they've been going in and importing jets and stuff into here. It can be done because it is the bone structure of FSX. And if you find out what Dovetail's done to make things different in the config files, you can find that out immediately and kind of get around it. And I know some people have been doing that. But let's start off small. Let's start off with something a little easy here. We'll do the Diamond Star. One thing about these airplanes is they're very nicely modeled. They're equivalent to a Coronado airplane, whereas, you know, with a default FSX or Microsoft product, you would have something that doesn't really look like a high detailed airplane. It's very basic. Weather conditions, we can go to here, and here are your weather themes to select from. Keep in mind, you know, your frame rates will be changed by, you know, changing these. You could get some frame rate hits in this. Let's do springtime weather. We'll do that. It says clear, perfect flying conditions with great visibility and no wind. Day, flying in the daytime is the best way to experience the view out your cockpit. That's true, VFR. And the cold air begins to warm and the flowers begin to bloom. I'm glad they told us that. Okay. Departure airport. This is where things get a little weird. They want you to search for an airport you want to depart out of. I'm going to do my local St. Louis, Spirit of St. Louis airport here. And what happens is when I go out on the map watch, you get this instantly a drawn line. Now you can get rid of it by right clicking. It goes away. You can right click to get it back. Or you could. Well, not anymore, I guess. I don't know what that was. But by default it does that, and I was like, what the hell is this? I don't want any of that. But you don't have to necessarily fly to the next airport over. You can just kind of click on that, and then when you're done with it, you hit confirm. And then you're greeted with this little airplane flying in a circle. That is how you're going to start here, okay? Now, one thing I wanted to go into with the weather was if we go into this, you'll notice here at the top that you can go into conditions. You can change manually the visibility, precipitation. You can do that. Cloud. Nope. Okay. Precipitation does not move. So no, I think it might be bound by the theme. Clouds. Nope. You can do that. Wind speed. You can change that. Here, time and season, you're greeted with this. Do you wish? No, discard those. You can make changes right here. Kind of like you would back in the day on FSX. Clouds are coming soon, wind, temp, and visibility. So those are not customizable right now. You can't change the cloud decks. You can't change the wind at those levels, temperatures, and visibility. So keep that in mind. We're just going to go with the springtime, beautiful day here in Spirit of St. Louis Airport. We're going to hit start. And it will say, in order to gain credit for flight time, you must land in an airport. Even if it's the same one you depart out of, if you want to get that credit time on your profile, you must land at an airport. Free flight. So there's the Mirage there flying around. We have the music in the background, extremely low, but it's at 0. But it will always forever play in our hearts. Free flight says we're taking off of Spirit, and we're going to land at Spirit. If we want to get those points, that's what we're going to do. And we're greeted at the next screen here shortly. Like this. And I saw the airplane flying around in a circle and I assumed it was still loading, you know, because I'm used to seeing things in a circle, meaning that it's loading. However, that is not the case. Here's the old flight planner you're used to seeing, and everything's grayed out. So you can just kind of, I don't want to quit the flight. What is happening here? Oh, hit start again. Okay, we're greeted with this now. I don't know what happened there. But here is Spirit of St. Louis. This is bone stock. Flight Sim World right out of the gate. You're going to notice they're using physical base rendering, PBR, and that is the reason why everything is so bright, which it looks great like in X-Plane 11 and stuff. However, with the FSX ESP model or platform, it seems like PBR is not fully there yet for it. I've noticed some neon green trees while, you know, some of the pine trees and stuff are really dark. You'll really see that once we get up in the air. Vsync is not an option in the graphics. I can hit Shift Z and show you what I'm getting. Frames per second wise, we're doing about 28, 30. I notice when I get up in the air, I'll start making about 40 or so. With that said, here's the cockpit. It's very, very detailed. It's beautifully rendered. I do enjoy that a lot. But you're going to see screen tearing, and that is because I don't have a VSync option. I would have to do that through either the NVIDIA Inspector or through the control panel of that. Avionics master switch. I mean, these are all things that you can click and you can change. You know, you turn the autopilot on, you can turn it off, and you can even hear the little beeps and stuff. One thing they have done great job on here is the sounds. The sounds are fantastic. You'll even see like the airspeed sometimes jiggle around and stuff whenever you're under power. These are 3D gauges. These are not 2D gauges. So that's really refreshing to see. One thing you're going to notice is on the GPS, the frame rate of the GPS is quite low. Just like it was in FSX, it has come back even on a 64-bit promise. It's still, I mean, you're still going to get low frame rates on your displays. One of the things that I do love about X-Plane is the fact that you don't have to worry about that. They're very fluid and very quickly refreshing gauges. All right, what we got here? Parking brake is released. Mixture is rich. Prop is forward. And we are good to go. I can't think of anything else we need to do. You can use I'm using the space bar to look around and mouse scroll wheel. Now, I'll probably do a track IR in the next video we do on this. This is the first look, so I just kind of want to get up in the air and all that good stuff. So let's do it. Let's check our brakes. We've got brakes. We've got right brake, left brake. Good stuff. Let's add a little bit of power. We should see our P factor start to throw the plane to the left. There it goes. And I'll just add that. Okay. Okay, Mr. Rudder. Sometimes the ground handling can be a little strange. Add full power here. And we are on our way off of 8 right here in Spirit of St. Louis. There's our rotation speed. And we are up. One thing I have noticed is the airplanes are kind of like in FSX, extremely easy to fly. They're not very challenging. And that's why I think that this sim will be, you know, something for a new pilot. And I think that that's what they're looking for, like they did with their flight sim school, you know, or their flight school thing. You know, you have flight sim school, you're bringing in new people that are learning about flight sim and aviation and whatnot. And then they have graduated from that and they're greeted with Flight Sim World. So I think that there's definitely a market and a place, you know, for people there. What do we got out here? I wanted to talk about the autogen. The autogen seems to have been updated quite significantly, meaning I think there's some texture baking or whatever they call that on the buildings, which kind of give them a fake look, more so than realistic. But you know what? Honestly, I think that, you know, anything's better than nothing. But you're gonna notice that when we get closer to the city, we'll probably do touch and go at St. Louis and whatnot. Climbing out at about 100 knots here. I'm going to climb a little higher here. But you're going to automatically notice here the anti-aliasing is just not the best. It's not performing. The sim is not doing it too much of a justice. I'm seeing jag-eats kind of all over the place. We're seeing those, the land classes out there kind of blurry in the distance. That's something that I have not figured out how to rectify. To finish off the look, would be nice to have this kind of detail out to there, but you don't. You start to get that whole like grid or circle around your airplane that's slowly bringing in that scenery. Now, I mean, I understand that is, you know, how they render the scenery and all that good stuff, but for me, it just kind of looks weird. Here's what we're talking about: the neon green trees. I think maybe it's the PBR that did it, or maybe it's just I don't know. I really don't know. I cannot explain the reason why we have those. Let's make a left turn here. Flight model's very fluid. Like I said, you know, we turned the sensitivities up. I think we're going to have to bring it up even more. It feels very mushy right now. Even though we're climbing out, we're at 2,500 feet here. We're not going to be flying this thing by the book. You know, we're not going to be worried about RPMs and all that good stuff. Because we'd probably be about like 2,400 RPM, and we'd probably lean this baby back, but we're not worried about that. And you can see that's Lambert International Airport right off there. In the distance. Now, I don't know what this black these artifacts that keep popping up on the horizon are. That's unfortunate, but I have been seeing that lately. I think it's just in the prop too. It could be a thing to do with the prop. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. But I mean, basic stuff, it looks really decent. Like as far as the lighting goes, it's not that dingy, dark FSX feeling. There's those stutters that we know and love from the FSX platform. And we're going to fly over to St. Louis. Now, one thing is so strange is all these airports around here have runways. You know, they're textured runways. Albeit they are extremely bright and white. They are there. That's Creve Coeur Airport there. You've got a little airplane sitting on the ramp over there, too. A little Cherokee, it looks like. But when I get to Lambert, there's absolutely no runway textures. And I haven't seen anybody else run into this issue. I don't know if it's just that airport or, you know, a series of airports that have that problem. But there's no runway textures. They're grass underneath them. I don't know if you see this out here. Yeah, right there. Those are grass all the way there. And they are for the main runways, too. I did test that earlier, and it was the same thing. But here's what I'm talking about, the texture baking. The houses, as you can see there, they look like they've been, I don't know if that's the right word, but the autogen is definitely there. It looks like it's a populated world that you're flying over, and that's pretty cool. We're getting terrible frame rates now, about 23, 24 here. So this will not be in 60 frames. I'm not going to render this thing out in 60 frames per second. There's no reason to do it. I don't think that it'll ever make 60 frames per second or even close to it. So that's why this will be 1080p, 30 frames per second video. There's just no reason for it to be anything more than that. Let's go ahead and do a landing at Creve Coeur. So let's go ahead and start our descent down because I want you to hear the sounds. The sounds are pretty good. We can open this little latch, but I haven't been able to actually see the window open when you do that. But whenever I start to slip the airplane, I want you to listen to the sound. The sound of the wind hitting the control surfaces. It increases like that, which is pretty good. Seems like I have to really fight to slip the airplane though. Still slipping it. We're at about 80 knots right there, and we got a great descent rate, about 1,400 feet per minute there at 90 knots. And we have a good slip going on here. Fantastic. We'll come out of the slip. So the flight model, it doesn't feel to me like a default airplane in FSX. To me, it feels like something more on the lines of an add-on you would buy, you know, for it. So that's good to know for new pilots and new people. You're not going to get an absolute, you know, garbage feeling airplane out of the gate. And I really, really, really do like that part of the sim. Still descend here. But yeah, this changing the colors of the trees, it's really distracting. I think if it was like all the same color, I think it would blend into the scenery a little bit more better than it does. No, it's not the prop, because look out there. We've got that artifacts on the horizon again showing up. Not sure what that is about. There's the bridge there. There's 2 bridges. That's a pretty good looking bridge. Pretty good looking. Now, I believe Orbix has done the land class stuff for Flight Sim World. So you're going to get something that looks way better than, you know, default FSX Steam Edition, which is basically going to look like the, you know, the deserts of the Sahara everywhere you go. For whatever reason, FSX by default has that land class with just, it looks like sand everywhere. There's sand everywhere. I'm gonna bring my nose up here. We're gonna bleed some speed off so we can get some flaps in here. Is that saying F right there? Yeah, so it's showing the G, X, and Y, so that's pretty cool. They added that. So you have a little bit more of a, I don't know, intuitive is the right word to say it, G1000 than what you would get with the Coronado package. So, I mean, if you're into the G1000, this is pretty cool. The GPS just over there, it just kills me seeing it going that slow. It's just, it hurts my head to see that refresh rate that slow. All right, dumping those flaps in here. We're gonna dump them in more as we're turning around. We're gonna land on the runway. One thing I have noticed is kind of how I felt. Now, I'm a, you know, an X-plane pilot for the most part. And one thing I have noticed is that it seems that the glide path on some of these runways is quite off. Indeed, we're gonna do some S-turns to try to get the altitude down. Too busy looking at the scenery and stuff. We're not properly flying today, like I said. Not worried about it. Seeing that swimming of the textures over there. I really wish we didn't have that. What is that? Those buildings out there are black looking on the horizon at Lambert. Okay, just doing some S-turns. We're just, you know, descending. No problem. Holding that 70 knots. I'm in idle power. Still doing S-turns as we get down. But the glide path seems like it's just, they want you to be a lot lower than you probably should be. Or what it feels like to me in an X-plane with a 3-degree glide path to the runway. We're still not even down on that glide slope yet. We're getting there. We are getting there. I'm still doing S-turns here. There's our first Pappy light. Now, the thing about the Pappy lights and Vazzy lights are there's still that really unrealistic bright balloon light. I really wish they would just, you know, take a look at like the Rex stuff, you know. They changed that Halo BMP and made it so much smaller and made it more realistic. These are still just the default looking FSX ones. But the trees and everything, it looks way better coming. Oh, that Piper just took off. I'll be damned. For a second, I thought that was a bird. It's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's a Piper. Like I said, we're not doing proper flying procedures here and stuff. We're just, you know, having a first look here at the sim in general. On the glide slope now, coming over runway 16. As you can see, it's just so washed out and bright. The runway is. A lot of ground effect in this sim. Bring that nose up a little bit more. Come on. And it seems like it's not a very good landing. I'll start adding the brakes. It seems like the brakes are just almost non-existent in this sim. I can't explain it. It takes forever to slow it down. Liz, we're still 54 knots and I'm holding the brakes down the whole time. I'm gonna do a parking brake. Nope, won't do it. Okay. I don't think we can't stop it. We cannot stop this thing. We can't stop this. Look at this. Go around. So we don't die today. I was full brakes and I could not stop the airplane. I don't know what that was about. That was strange. That was really, really strange. Was the throttle like stuck or something? I was full brakes. I don't know what else we could do there. I mean, granted, it's I mean, we're flying a Diamond Katana. We can get into Creve Coeur, no problem. Let's just keep our full flaps in right now. We're just gonna go around again here and try another attempt at it. We came in a little fast, I suppose. That's probably wasn't helping, but the brakes were not working at all. Like, at all. All right, let's get lined up here for a right downwind. There's the runway there. I'm gonna do a base over the river and then we'll turn final. I'm gonna really, really shoot for that 70 knots this time. At a decent altitude here at 900 feet. We would normally be about 1400 in the pattern here. But I'm gonna stay low just because, like I said, it seems like the glide paths are extremely low in the sim for 3 degrees. All right, looking good. 72 knots. I mean, we're slow, yes. I didn't bring the flaps up on a go around. I would have done that if I really cared, but I don't. I don't care about it today. We're just looking at the sim here. We're almost to the... Well, that looks like some FSX style water there that you're used to. Yeah, controls are mushy, as they should be. Turning base. And we're at 75 knots. I'm gonna bring that power back. There we go. Pitch for 70 knots here. Bring that nose forward. Where you at? Right there? Okay. I figured you were. All right. And we're turning to final now. Bring that nose up. I'm going to pull the power back because we pull the power for our altitude and we pitch for airspeed. There we go. Get that 70 knots going here. Yeah, we're going to be way high on this approach. Damn, son. I screwed that all up. I really did. It's way too fast. Way too fast. Well, excuse my crappy flying today, guys. 73 knots, 70. I mean, still, it's a pretty slow speed. Seems like it just floats forever. There's no bleeding of speed. It's like there's no drag. We're down. Brakes, full brakes. Come on, come on, stop. Like, it should be stopping the airplane. It's not stopping the airplane at all. That is a problem. That is a problem. Well, let's try a different airplane. Let's try a different place. I mean, that's really piss poor with the brakes, and I've had problems with that with Flight Sim World this entire time I've been using it. No, I said I wanted to go back. So can we do that? There we go. Aircraft selection. Let's do something a little bit bigger. We'll go with a, actually, you know, a lot of people have been using these. Let's go with the RV7A. It's not bigger. It's just a little more agile. And let's go to weather conditions. Let's show you what gray and rainy is like. I do want to show you the rain effects. Departure airport. Let's try something like Chicago. Let's do KORD. That'll be a pretty heavy airport to fly in and out of. You see, there's that thing immediately. Just right click it. It goes away. Click on that. She's good to go. Hit confirm and start. Yes, we know. And it will load up Chicago. All right. It's populating in Chicago right now in the background. As you can see right there, there's the buildings and we're good there. Then we can just click on start and we're good. So here are the rain effects, which look pretty darn good. 27 frames per second or so here. Yeah. Your altimeter is incorrect. Okay. It's incorrect. We just hit B to reset that. Classic. But yeah, the rain effects look really nice. Here we are on the runway. 10 right. And I wanted to use this airplane for the rain because I want you to see what it's like whenever we get up in the air. It's pretty cool. We have panel lights and stuff like that. What do we got here? Fuel pump switch. Navs. We've got strobe lights. We've got landing lights. Wig-wag landing lights. So that's cool. They wig-wag. Oh, that turned the panel lights on when I did that. That's strange. That turns that one. Yeah, I don't get that. Okay. Okay. No problem. And if we go outside, let's have a look here. Oop. let's have a look-see. I'm going to zoom out here with the minus key, and we're going to fly around with the space bar here and see if we have wig-wagging landing lights. No, we do not. Control L. Yeah, nothing. That's strange. I don't think the landing lights are properly modeled or something is happening there. I'm not really sure. Not really sure what that is all about. But I mean, you zoom in on it, it's a good-looking airplane. Not bad. The RV. Like, they're very, very nicely modeled airplanes in this sim. All right, cool. Back to it. Let's go ahead and add our power and let's get in the air and check out these rain effects under speed. Add that power here. Brakes are released. There we go. Getting some speed here, and full power now is set. This one's not as squirrely as the Diamond was. The Katana. It could have been the Katana just, you know, having problems. There's 60 knots. We're going to start a rotation. And we are in the air. Look at those rain effects. They look great. I wish they moved a lot faster. Like, if they went, like, twice that speed faster, it would be a little more realistic. But it's cool to have rain effects. That is neat. They're gonna climb out. This thing flies a lot better than that Katana ever did. I'm noticing that right away. Sky textures, way better than default FSX. You know, it's not that bright MS Paint blue. The cloud textures are basically out of FSX. But it looks like they've done some enhancements to it. I do like the haze layers, like the low layers of cloud and stuff. That looks really nice. Especially right there, that looks really good. I like that. That looks really cool. There's the sun out there to our right. They didn't make that a humongous halo. That's really cool. It's you know, pretty reasonable looking. But let's do a barrel roll here. Whee! I don't think I would ever do that in a RV that low to the ground. There's no way in hell, but hey, it's a simulator. We can do that. The inside textures for the shadows look great. Look at that. That looks really nice. I like that a lot. Using that rudder, throwing the plane around. You know, running about 27 frames per second here. Nothing too crazy, nothing too great. The buildings here look a lot better. We don't have that neon green tree issue up here in Chicago, it looks like. Oh, the rain stopped, so it should stop on the windshield as well. The windscreen, the cockpit, the canopy, whatever the hell you want to call it. I hear an airplane. I don't want to run into an airplane, but I hear one. Close by. He's real close by. There's downtown Chicago over there peeking out of the clouds. That's cool. All right, let's just land this thing right over here. Let's pull our power. No, it was our airplane we were hearing. It wasn't a AI, like I thought it was originally. Yeah, this airplane's a lot more responsive. Let's do a slip here. Nice forward slip back down to this runway. Even though we're probably gonna be landing with a tailwind, I don't care. Okay, well that's interesting. When the cloud deck or the fog or haze layer is over buildings, it looks like it snowed on them. That is interesting. All right, we're coming into the runway here now. I want to get slowed way up here so we can dump these flaps in. There we go. That's where I want to be. Right there. Flaps. More flaps. And we are ready to land this airplane. Okay, we came out of the clouds there like that. And yeah, the snow effect kind of goes away. Rain effect, I mean, the rain looks really nice. This kind of looks like a rainy day, you know, with spotty showers. That's what it kind of looks like to me. But I like how the water goes over those runway lights like that and, you know, kind of obscures it. That's cool. All right, short final here. For 2.7, right, with a tailwind, probably. I'm going to pull back my power. Hopefully this thing has actual brakes. Or set that down into ground effect, bring that nose up. And I do want to show you the replay system. There we are, and we're down. The replay system is interesting. You only get 30 seconds, so make it wise. Like, I'll have to hit escape right here and hit replay, and it only shows you the last 30 seconds or so. So that's kind of unfortunate. You can't kind of go back your flight and watch your landing from a little bit further away. You got to be on the ball for your replay camera. That's our tower view. Okay, that's cool. Let's go with this one. I'm gonna hit A, and we get our flyby view here. Oh, we have working lane lights now. Ooh, man, that's some weird looking stuff there. It was like doing some strange stuff. All right. Oh, let's go back to our outside view here. There we go. Watch our landing. And that looks pretty cool. That looks pretty cool indeed. There we are, right over the numbers there. Gonna start our flare. Wasn't much of a flare, but it was a flare. Nope, it was a three-pointer. And what is going on down there? Yeah, that was a flat landing, which I've noticed with a lot of these airplanes, I seem to land them flat. They don't seem like they have a lot of drag, if that makes any sense. We'll continue. And let's see how the brakes work on this one. So we're giving it brakes, and we're actually stopping. That's how it should be. Yeah, that diamond was messed up, man. It was screwed up. Flight hours log. Cool. We can put that away with the minus key up there. We can hit the tilt key and it opens up the... Nope, not gonna do it. Okay. I thought that would open up our ATC window, but it doesn't seem to be the case. I did want to show you one more thing. Let's go here. Now, in the flight planner, I should be able to... You can't change the weather. You have to end the entire flight, which is really kind of crappy. I'm gonna go back, quit the flight, and we're gonna do it nighttime. I want to show you what night looks like. All right, aircraft selection. Let's do the Malibu Mirage. It's a badass looking airplane on the inside, so we'll choose him. Weather conditions, we'll do forever autumn. I'll show you what the that looks like. Airport. No, let's go back. I want to configure this, and I want to go to time and season, and we want to make the time of day to night. Conditions are going to be what they are. That's fine with me. Let's do Princess Juliana Airport. That's a great one in the Netherlands Antilles. Confirm that and start. In order to gain credit, yes, I know. But I want to show you the nighttime. One thing I've noticed is there's no landing light splash on the ground. Like none. And that's kind of crippling whenever you're flying at night. You've got to be able to see where you're landing. You've got to see that runway. And I have noticed in these airplanes that there is no casting landing light on the runway, which is unfortunate. I do hope that that is fixed in the future. All right, it is nighttime here in Princess Juliana. Let's go ahead and hit start. And look at the nightlight inside. That looks really nice. And we're getting 34, 36 frames per second. Not worth rendering out at 60 frames per second. Oh, we're hitting 40 there. Still gonna probably render this out in 30 regardless. But yeah, the night textures look really good there. We have a working weather radar. We can go boom. It's in test mode and now it's on. Now, I have had that on with rain in the area and I didn't see it paint any, so I don't know if that works 100%. However, we should be able to turn our landing lights on with Control L, which we just did there, and we have our landing lights on here, as you can see. However, there is no such thing on the ground, and that's really bad. You've got to be able to see where you're going. You really need to see that. That's important information. Go flaps, go up, bring our power up. We're gonna be taking off into the blind night. Keep in mind, you know, this is early access. I'm sure they will address these things. However, night flying right now for me is completely a bust. It's just downright dangerous. There's 50 knots. And 60 knots. We'll start rotating about right here. And we're up. Gear up. G. Yep, there goes the gear. And we can see the airplane silhouettes there, but man, it's just, there's no texturing or anything at all. It's extremely dark at night. I mean, granted, it should be, but I don't think it should be to this level, you know? It's a little strange. That cruise ship is all lit up out there, but we aren't. The night sky looks pretty good. We have some texture banding issues there. That's kind of unfortunate. I don't like how I have to use that space bar to look around. I don't have a hat switch on my Yoko. It's drawing in that cloud out there. But yeah, that's some heavy color banding issues there, as you can see. And the ability to change the time of day and weather on the fly would be nice, you know? It really would. Well, we're getting better frame rate out here, but we're in the islands and there's nothing to draw, really. So that's the issue I have with nighttime. We'll quit the flight there. Yes, yes. And I think that is going to do it for us on this first look at Flight Sim World. Let me know if there's any other things that you would like to see that I didn't cover today, like a different airplane or anything like that, you know, that I missed. So let's get down to the bottom line. Is this worth $25 compared to FSX and FSX Steam, pretty much, or Prepared? And to me, Prepared is a $200 FSX. It always will be. I know there's an academic version. You get a watermark and all that good stuff, and I just don't want to do that. I don't need an academic license, so I don't want to pay $200 for FSX essentially. And it's not even 64-bit yet. That being said, I'm a huge fan of X-Plane 11. I just absolutely love it. Being a private pilot and having that real-world experience, to me, X-Plane 11 just feels like a real airplane when I fly it. With this, I didn't get that feeling at all. I didn't have any wowing factors. There was no movement on my head or something inside the cockpit. Granted, you know, X-Plane doesn't have that either. But let's get back to it. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. $25 is the early access asking price for Flight Sim World. Is that worth it? To me, no. And the reason why I say no is because this is early access. Unless you want to get involved with early access and make this sim everything you want it to be, there's no reason to really get involved with it. You have FSX, and then the add-ons that you get for FSX, you're going to get a similar result to this. You won't get the physical base rendering, you know, but it's very clear that a lot of the textures and a lot of the old ESP stuff is just not ready for PBR, and I don't think it ever will be. You know, we need to move on with flight simulation. We need to move into what our current technologies can handle. Our PCs today are just getting lightning quick. They're getting amazing, and yet we're still reviving this dinosaur of the ESP code, and I just don't get it, you know? I think it's kind of an easy way out to use old code and build on top of it. That being said, that's the reason why I say no. This is pretty much FSX. It is ESP. It's FSX in a nutshell. But it didn't wow me. You know, when I first loaded this up, it wasn't like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I got that feeling from X-Plane 11 whenever that came out. So that is the reason why I say what I do. Keep in mind, you know, if you had Flight Sim School, or sorry, Flight School, you get this for free with it. And Flight School is already right here in training. It's all in there. They threw it into this Flight Sim World. You know, later down the road when commercial airplanes are added to this, you know, I think then they'll start moving into a market that's, you know, more on the lines of people that like Prepared and so on and so forth. However, I think third-party development for this particular title is going to be tough because of the whole issue of the Steam store. And Dovetail wanting DLCs and stuff like that for the Steam store. It's going to really deter a lot of third-party add-ons for Flight Sim World. So it's hard to say, you know, $25, get it while it's hot, because I think that once it is released, it'll probably go up in price, I think, after it comes out of early access. So if you believe in the product and you like what you see here, you know, yeah, $25 is a great price for a full flight simulator of the world, even though it's GA airplanes only. That being said, if you want to be part of the creation of its future, you know, then invest that $25 into it and then go for that. I personally will not recommend it to anybody. I think that you're going to get the same thing on Steam, FSX. So you could get add-ons for that and make it look like this, pretty much. That's my bottom line. If it's a 64-bit sim, I didn't notice that. It might be in the launcher. It might be in this and this and this, but it seems like it's still 32-bit stuff that we're seeing. But that being said, that is my first look at Flight Sim World by Dovetail Games. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below, and tell me if there's something I missed. And if you guys want to see another video on it, I'll see you next time. Take care.